You can be loyal and still feel lost, misaligned, unfulfilled, depleted, or even stuck. Today, I want to talk to you who are stuck in a role, a relationship, a responsibility, not because it inspires you, but because it used to. This episode is your permission to pause, reflect, and ask, is my yes still aligned with what God is doing in me now? Hi, sis. I'm Dr. Phyllis, life coach, and this is the Own Your Yes podcast. Recently, I was out walking and trying to really decide where I wanted to eat. One of the things that I love to do that refuels me, renews me, recenters me is to treat myself to breakfast or lunch or dinner. Yet, breakfast is really my time before the day gets going and I'm pulled in different directions. It it allows me to drink my coffee, and as I've shared with you over time, having breakfast together, a cup of coffee, eating, really was a cherished time with my mom. We'd either go out to after we've had our hair done, or we would just meet just to have breakfast. It was a chance to connect and refresh ourselves. And so coffee has come to symbolize that reconnection with her, even after she's gone. And additionally, for me, it makes me pause. There are different, there are some particular coffee shops I like to stop at to get some coffee at times, but there's nothing like pausing and having that breakfast time and allowing myself to be served. Because most of my life, like you, is we're serving others. So there are a couple places near where I live and where my extended family live here locally. And I am a very loyal person. I'm very relational. And I also want to support those that are in business. And there's one of the restaurants that I try to support, and very nice. The owners, the families of both of the restaurants are really nice, and I love them. And because of that loyalty, as I said, I want to support them. Yet there's one of them that really the menu choices fit more of my dietary preferences than the other. I chose for myself to become a vegan, or follow, I'm not a vegan, to follow a vegan diet or meal choices, dietary preferences. It's almost been about 3 years. It might be a little longer than 3 years. And that's because I had reached a point. God has been so good to me in the midst of being diagnosed with scleroderma back in 2005. Despite the episodes of challenges I've had, overall, I've done really well with my autoimmune disease by taking prescription medicine, by really trying to check in for emotional stress for myself, yet also really trying to maintain a level of physical activity. And we all know that that can wax and wane depending on what's going on in life. And diet. My diet has gone up and around and sideways, especially as life takes on its own set of challenges at times. Yet I made the decision, you know what? I've eaten enough cheese and meat over time. And because I do have a family history of high blood pressure, high cholesterol, stroke, heart attack, that I needed to look at my diet even more. And the whole idea of inflammation and its relationship to diet, what I eat, really made me decide, you know what? I'm going to cut out as much as possible dairy based products. I'm going to cut out meat. I'm going to cut out honey. Again, this is just more in line with the plant based diet, vegan diet, but it was just a choice I made. And as I've shared, yes, I still, when I cook for my family, they eat meat. I cook it for them. I just don't partake. And that's okay because it's a choice that I made. And for me, I do feel that I that I'm doing better. I think that I'm doing much better than I was before because I was Miss Drive Through. I would be getting hamburgers and some of everything, but I still get my own plant-based burgers and etc. But it was just a choice that I made. Because as you know, as I said, I've been a breakfast eater, so I was the one who would have the bacon, the sausage, the pancakes, the everything. So now it really has enabled me to cut that out. And again, that's for me. So, with that context in mind, let me swing back to the story of the two restaurants. So, the reason this is important is because one of the restaurants had, a few vegan, plant based choices, but not really a lot. And so I would just kind of force myself to limit myself to what they had on their menu that fit my diet, what I wanted. Yet the other restaurant had more vegan choices, and I really liked it. But I would then try to balance it, right? My mind loyalty, um, feeling like, well, I don't want to just, and okay, let me really put it in there. Both restaurants are sitting side by side. They're next door to each other. So, my mind's going, well, one is going to see me going in here, the other one's going to see me passing that one to go to the other one. But over time, this one restaurant has even cut out some of their vegan choices. They're no longer available. So it was becoming harder and harder for me to try to figure out what I could eat there. So then I would end up just eating some of the choices that really didn't satisfy me, had gotten old after time in my mind, just the same old. But yet this other one, I was able to kind of be flexible and I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the ambiance because I can actually on some days I can sit outside and I just love the environment. And I just realized today, it hit me. The light bulb went off. Is looking at loyalty. I was being loyal to the other restaurant, but I wasn't being fulfilled. And so I kept investing and buying food from there again, not being fulfilled, but trying to fit what they had instead of going where I could be satisfied, fulfilled, renewed, refreshed. So I made the decision today that, you know what? I've invested in that other restaurant enough. I've done my part. They'll be fine. It doesn't affect how I feel about them, but I'm just going to focus on this other restaurant because it fits what I need in this season. And so it really made me think of you, sis, because I want to give you this little nugget for today. Loyalty without inspiration, without being renewed or refreshed, becomes more of an obligation. And an obligation without alignment leads to depletion. Let me say that to you again. Loyalty without inspiration becomes obligation. An obligation without alignment leads to depletion. Now let that sit for a minute. Wow. So, how do we discern? How do you discern when it's time to release something? Even when it still looks good on the outside. I want to share with you just a little way of thinking about this, of how to decide when it's time to release something and reclaim your yes and honor your growth and your renewal, your refueling without guilt. And the approach to thinking is the acronym ACT, because you have to actively give yourself permission to let go of what's no longer serving you and look at what can fulfill you. The A is to acknowledge the expired yes. Expired yes. Notice the signs. You feel like dread or detachment from it. You constantly have to rationalize why you need to do it. It doesn't give you any joy. There's a lack of joy. There's there's no spiritual prompting telling you it's the right thing to do anymore. C is clarity, or let me put it this way, clarify what inspires you now. I want to emphasize that now, because what may have inspired you in the past, you're in a new season, sis. So clarify what inspires you now. Ask yourself, what season am I in? What values are God highlighting in me now? What is he turning on? What is he igniting in you now? What makes you come alive? So I want you to ask yourself, what makes me come alive spiritually, emotionally, mentally? And T, take that permission to transition. Take that permission to transition. Letting go doesn't mean you're ungrateful to that experience, to that person, that role, that situation. It means you're honoring God's current invitation to do something new, a new season. You're in a new season. You're not abandoning loyalty, you're realigning your loyalties to what and who God is calling you to now. A, acknowledge the expired yes. It's expired, no longer suiting you. Acknowledge the expired yes. Clarify what inspires you now and take the permission to transition. Take permission. Take it. Take the permission. Give yourself some permission to transition. And at the end of the day, sis, I want you to begin practicing discernment over devotion. Mic drop. Begin practicing discernment over devotion. Not just who you're devoted to, the emotion to, but start practicing discernment. Discernment. It's permission to exercise discernment over just blind devotion. So this week, I am going to be emphasizing journaling going forward because it works. I know you're like me. We have a great insight and thought. And as soon as we get pulled to something else, we forget. But journaling allows you to let it out, and you can always go back and refer to it. And you can always go back and see where you've grown. So for this week, the journal prompts that I want you to use to work this week is some questions. The first question I want you to look at and journal on is, what am I currently saying yes to that no longer inspires or energizes me? Number two, Am I staying in a situation out of fear, guilt, or obligation? Number 3, what part of me is afraid to let go? And what would I need to feel safe releasing it? Number 4, what currently inspires me? What am I curious or excited about that I've been ignoring? And lastly, number 4, if I believed God had something new for me, what would I begin to release to make room for it? That's your journaling homework for this week. I pray, sis, that you will take this to heart. I'm not going to be grading you. Nobody's going to be sitting and judging you on how many of the prompts that you're able to complete. But do your best. Start with one question this week. Start with one. Pick the one that resonates with you the most and go for it. Jump in with 2 feet and do a deep dive. If you can do more, awesome. Awesome. I pray that this episode has been helpful to you. I would love to hear from you. Message me over on LinkedIn or Instagram, Facebook. Those are the main platforms I'm on. I would love to hear how you're doing. And even more, I would love if you're listening to me on one of the major platforms such as Amazon or Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Drop me a review. When you give me a 5-star review, that allows other women to know about the podcast and what we're trying to do here to bring us high achieving Christian women together to own our yes, own our story, own our purpose, own our journey, own our truth, while we remember it's never too late to own your yes. Love you. See you next week. Bye now.